Good evening, Moonwakers. Thank you for joining. Hi, Fernando. Hi, Pancakey. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear the audio, music, and sound? Amazing. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. Hopefully the audio is not crackly, and after a few weeks of troubleshooting, everything sounds okay now. Thanks for joining tonight. I didn't publicize this because I wanted to do a test run, and this is the first watch party, and so I just kept it quiet. So thank you for joining. I'd love to know who is in this watch party with us. If you'll just say hello in the chat, that would be great. So this evening is a little bit different than our usual mission briefings. I tried to make the mission briefings more like a late night radio talk show. This is going to be much more informal. And this is also the first time I'm doing a watch party. So I'm a little nervous, but thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. It's been a while since I came on a live stream. As you may or may not know, I've been having audio technical issues since end of December. Moonwakers were very helpful in trying to help me figure out what was going on. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that tonight the audio is working, both music and sound. And hopefully as we go back into doing more live streams that this won't be an issue. So I have my fingers crossed. Tonight, we're going to be watching a few short videos of the Artemis 2. I wanted to kind of follow up on the series of shorts I've made this month. So Artemis 2 is a space program, and we are going to the moon. And I wanted to have some timely shorts just to introduce what the program is about. So you may have seen those shorts on YouTube or on TikTok. And so tonight we're going to watch some videos just to catch up, Moonwakers, on the Artemis 2. And then maybe at the end we'll talk a little bit about what's going on with the program and what the latest is. So I'll just jump right in, and as we watch videos, we'll watch it together, and if you have comments, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll respond, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, it'll be really informal. So thank you for joining me. It's also a test audio run, so I'm glad it's working. I still have my fingers crossed. Let's go ahead and get started. the first video I'm going to play, give me a second, is actually part of a press release that NASA had this morning, and then we'll go into some short clips of the docuseries NASA has produced. All of the videos you'll see tonight are made by NASA, and so in the public domain. If you want to see the full videos, I'm more than happy to share with you where they can be found. But this first video is going to be from the press conference from NASA this morning, Friday, February 27th. And it just gives a little introduction about the Artemis program, and then we'll watch a slightly longer video from NASA, an animated video about the program, and then we'll jump into the docuseries. So here we go. Okay, let me know if you can't hear me or the video audio, but hopefully it should be okay. I'll play 30 seconds just so Moonwakers can tell me whether the audio is working or not, and then we'll just jump right in. Hello, hello. Okay, so I've been speaking, and I just received feedback in the chat that you may not be able to hear me. Will you let me know if you can hear me? Hello, hello. Please let me know, because it's really important. So I'm glad sound works. Or audio works. Let me see. Can you hear me? Okay. Gosh. I really hope this works. Fingers crossed. Yay! Okay, so I've been talking to myself for the last 10 minutes. I'm glad you can hear me. That's great. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So I'm just going to assume that nothing was heard in the last 10 minutes while I was speaking. So I'll just kind of rewind a little bit. So tonight we are going to be doing a watch party to catch up Moonwakers on the Artemis 2 program. We'll be watching a few short videos, And hopefully by the end of the watch party, you'll be up to date. And then should you wish to learn more about the Artemis program, oh, okay, you could hear me fine until the video started. Okay, good to know. All right. So, did you hear my intro at the beginning? I have my fingers crossed. Okay. Let's see. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for the feedback. All right. We'll get started on the second video. This is also a video that NASA created to share a little bit about the Artemis program and throwing back to the Apollo program. So it explains a little bit about what the Artemis 2 program is, and truthfully, I have actually not watched the whole thing, so we'll be watching this together. Let's get started.
Between 1968 and 1972, America launched 9 human missions to the moon, 6 of which successfully touched down, allowing 12 men to walk on the lunar surface. NASA's next chapter of lunar exploration, called Artemis, has the task of not just going to the moon to create a long-term human presence on and around it, but also to prepare for ever more complex human missions to Mars. In short, everything we must be able to do here, we must first do here. So, what will an Artemis mission look like? Everything is designed and tested with our most important element in mind, the astronauts. This is their deep space, human-rated spacecraft called Orion, built in 3 parts. The crew module, where up to 4 astronauts will live and work throughout the flight. The service module, with life support systems for the crew and its own engine and fuel reserves. And a launch abort system, with engines capable of pulling the crew module to safety during launch should anything go wrong. To accomplish the task of launching our crew and heavy payloads, NASA is building the Space Launch System, comprising of a cargo hold, an exploration upper stage, a massive core stage, and 2 extended solid rocket boosters. Altogether, this is the world's most powerful rocket, and it exceeds the legendary Saturn V of the Apollo era in numerous ways. Sitting on the launch pad, the entire rocket, fully fueled, weighs just over 6 million pounds, 5.2 million of which is just the fuel. Once ignited, there is no stopping what comes next. All 4 RS-25 engines and the 2 solid rocket boosters come to life, thundering our crew upwards. 2 minutes after ignition, the solid rocket boosters are spent and released. 8 minutes after launch, the core stage is depleted and separated. The upper stage fires briefly, placing Orion into a parking orbit around the Earth. Here, the crew reconfigure the spacecraft and check systems to confirm everything is ready for deep space travel. With a go from mission control, the crew reignite the exploration upper stage engines to leave Earth entirely. The exact timing of this maneuver is critical to reach a speed that can escape Earth's gravitational pull, but also put Orion on a course that will intersect the moon days later. Once this burn is complete, the upper stage of the SLS is jettisoned and the crew aboard Orion coast for several days toward all that awaits them at the moon. Approaching the moon, we see the fundamental differences between Artemis and Apollo. Instead of requiring Orion to serve as an expendable lunar command module or to carry a constrained lunar lander, the Artemis missions will take advantage of a different approach: pre-staging. Everything needed for lunar missions will be positioned in advance by commercial and international partners. This includes rovers, science experiments, and human-rated systems on the surface. But it also includes a dedicated lunar station in orbit around the moon called Gateway. Here at this station, we can pre-stage a robust lunar lander and establish a strong communications relay. Designed with open standards, the Gateway can be expanded as new missions and partnerships develop, allowing multiple human missions on the moon at the same time and enabling ongoing science to be conducted even between human missions. The Gateway is also capable of adjusting its orbit to allow access to every part of the moon, something the Apollo missions could not do. But the real key in this approach is placing Gateway in a unique halo orbit to perfect the maneuvers needed for Mars missions. And with the growing list of commercial and international opportunities, Gateway is the ideal hub between Earth and all that lies beyond. Returning to our crew as they approach Gateway, the Orion must match the elliptical orbit of the station in order to successfully dock. Once on board, pre-selected crew members transfer to the lunar lander, while those assigned to Gateway remain on station. The lunar lander system itself is built for 3 unique steps: descending from the halo orbit of Gateway down to a low lunar orbit, descending from low lunar orbit to the surface, and once the lunar mission is complete, launching from the surface of the moon and ascending all the way back to the orbiting Gateway. Once back aboard the Orion spacecraft and undocked from Gateway, the crew fire their engine once to break out of the halo orbit, and once again to sling the spacecraft around the moon, placing it on a multi-day trajectory back towards Earth. As they near the end of this journey, the service module is released, and the crew module is oriented heat shield first. Entering Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows Orion considerably, while also subjecting it to temperatures of 5,000 degrees. With the Orion now at just 300 miles per hour, a series of parachutes uniquely tested and produced for this moment deploy, decelerating the craft to just 20 miles per hour for splashdown. With each successful mission, Artemis ushers in the next wave of men and women to explore our moon and prove that together we are ready to go beyond.
That was a really exciting animation. I really love this one. I think it does a great job of visualizing, helping viewers visualize what Artemis is really about and just the technical feats that the crew has to go through with the help of mission control on Earth to be able to accomplish this. It's fascinating, and Pancakey made the comment that it's that they can't really believe we are going back, and I think that's really exciting because the last time we did this was 50 years ago, and now with the initiative to go to Mars, we're using the moon as a point to be able, as a bridge actually, to be able to go to Mars. And so I think it's amazing. I think it's super ambitious, and it's just really exciting to be alive during this and to see everything unfold. What do you think, Moonmakers? I'm curious if anyone has any thoughts about this. Also, it's just a really great animation. I really enjoyed it. I think to me, what's impressive, I think the rocket diagrams are great, but what was really impressive is the systems that they need to test. And I think that's one of the reasons. So this one, Artemis 1 was a unmanned trip, and Artemis 2 has a crew that is going to be testing all of the systems in preparation for future Artemis journeys. And so originally the plan was to send humans to the moon in Artemis 3, but according to NASA, that has changed a little bit. But our goal is to still be on the moon. Moonmaker says, I remembered why I loved space as a kid while watching this. Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be alive and to see what we can do. I was also really impressed about, where was it? After it comes back, on its trip back, the module is released, and then it has to turn with the heat shield facing towards Earth as it comes down. And 5,000 degrees is no joke. That's really impressive. And of course, we have splashdown. That will be exciting. I would love to actually maybe do another watch party for either the launch or the splashdown. Okay. We'll do 2 more videos from NASA. So if you have had a chance to explore NASA's website, nasa.gov, they have a fantastic website. There's a lot of information about the Artemis program. Hello says, it's insane how I remember when they were just putting robots on Mars. Yeah, and that was a few decades ago. So it's really cool to be part of this after 50 years. Pancakey says a launch watch party would be so cool. Yes, assuming it happens during... I'm really excited for it. Originally, it was supposed to be February, and then they pushed it to March, and it sounds like it's going to be pushed to April now. So if the timing works out, yeah, maybe we should do a launch watch party. So this is the nasa.gov website, and on the right-hand side where you see NASA Plus, there's a plethora of videos that NASA has produced, and you can search it. There's a lot of great documentaries. And the couple that I want to share tonight is about the Artemis program, obviously, but specifically about the astronauts as well as the mission overview for Artemis 2. So I'll go ahead and pull that up. So the first one is about the 4 astronauts who will be going on as part of the crew for Artemis 2. And then the second video will be about the mission overview. So I'm kind of doing this in reverse. The astronauts are actually from episode 2 of this docuseries, but I think it's really exciting to watch and learn about the astronauts, and then we'll go back and see what the program is about. But you already got a little bit of that earlier. So thank you again for joining me this evening. This was meant to be the first watch party, and also an audio/video test. So I appreciate you joining. Okay. The first clip will be about 20 minutes. It'll talk a little bit about each of the 4 astronauts. Let's get started. Oh, I just realized I've been showing the screen of the video and not the NASA website. So actually, I'll just do this real quick. Okay. So if you go to nasa.gov, this is what you see. The Artemis program. You can learn more about it. And then if you want to see the videos and the media that NASA produces, definitely check it out, because some of the things in here are very exciting. Okay, but the one that we're going to be watching today is from the section Fly Me to the Moon, and it's exclusively about the Artemis program. So let's get started.
It's awesome that you hand me this flag. It flew on STS-1. I know this flag was taken up on STS-135.
There is a good shot of the STS-1 flag that flew up on board Atlantis.
The Demo 2 SpaceX crew, my friends, great friends, brought this thing home. So it's amazing to think of the hands this thing has gone through. It's pretty special.
I love how they're bringing a mini flag on this trip. I think it's cute. It's also very lightweight compared to the full-size one.
Special.
And then it will travel once again on the next vehicle that leaves low Earth orbit.
And here we are in Mission Control in Houston, Texas. And this flag is in my hands. And I don't know about you, but I think we should send this thing to the moon. Let's take it to the moon.
Human spaceflight is the ultimate team sport.
Aren't these helmets cool? I love them. It's a great shot.
When these four fly around the moon, they won't be doing it alone. They're part of a team of astronauts, engineers, scientists, trainers, a team of support working around our country and around the globe, ready day and night. We will help them carry the incredible weight, and it's a heavy one, now laid on their shoulders, because we go together for all humanity.
There are some great shots in this docuseries.
NASA has a rich history of test flights, and we do it for a reason. It goes all the way back to Mercury, to Gemini, to Apollo, to Shuttle, STS-1, station, where the two modules came together, and we put that first crew on. Demo 2 on SpaceX.
I have to say, I also really appreciate the uniforms for SpaceX crew. I think they're very sleek.
A lot of work went into that. Starliner for the crew flight test. These are test flights. And they're test flights for a reason, because we're making sure that that vehicle's ready to go from an operational standpoint from that point further. And Artemis is no different.
NASA was established to undertake big, bold endeavors in air and space, to undertake the near impossible. The next up is America's return to the lunar environment. What we learn from that mission is going to help enable America's return to the lunar surface. When we arrive to the moon, we're there to stay.
Our mission calls for 4 names. It's difficult to pick just 4 from a group that by its very definition attracts the best and the brightest that humanity has to offer, as humanity looks to find its place among the stars.
My name's Norm Knight. I'm the Director of Flight Operations at NASA Johnson Space Center. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what Flight Operations does. You could think of us as a service provider to the major programs at NASA, both for low Earth orbit and for our exploration goals to Moon and Mars. We plan, we train, and we go execute and fly the missions. Assigning a crew...
I didn't realize that America, the United States, had so many astronauts. It's actually quite impressive, and I can't imagine how difficult it would be to pick 4 out of a group of highly intelligent, highly capable human beings. I think that's incredible.
For a mission is complicated. I'll tell you that. If we look at our experience base and we say, all right, here's the mission, in this case, Artemis 2, higher risk, being a test flight. So what complement of experience base do we want on this mission? With a test flight, we typically like pilots that have test flight experience, test pilots. In addition to that, you look for cohesiveness with a crew. We need mission specialists on board that are able to do a lot of the tasks. We go look at an experience base within the office and say, who best can fit these needs? How can they work, or will they work together in an environment that's cohesive to aligning to the mission? And you end up with an experience base with those crew that then provide everything possible to guarantee mission success going forward.
head of flight operations, I have the privilege of getting to know each and every astronaut.
It makes me wonder, obviously, not all astronauts are in space, but it makes me wonder, in addition to training and research, what other types of things astronauts do while they're working. We clearly have very talented astronauts, and quite a few astronauts too.
The best part of my job, is that I'm surrounded by people who inspire, who give hope to those that might follow in their footsteps.
I want to thank you all for sharing in this moment today, and thanks to our crew, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, as they get ready to embark on this journey.
It has been an amazing journey the last 2.5 years. We have just built a tremendous amount of trust between the four of us. This crew cohesion, we're at the point now where we are ready to go fly.
For us, Artemis II is about much more than just going back to the moon. It is about the pursuit of excellence.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we are going together, and our mission success is built on handing off a starting point to Artemis III that sets our country and our partners up to go back to the surface of the moon.
Okay, I just have to pause the video here and just admire the patches that the astronauts have on their suit. It is quite stunning. Maybe we should make some patches for the Starliner. That's an idea.
Machinery around the moon, beautiful machines, is a challenge. Adding humans takes it a giant leap forward. And there is a lot of work that goes into integrating people into the system.
This is a very serious endeavor. This is absolutely a test flight. The last time we launched was more than 3 years ago. It did not have crew on it. It was not a completely like-for-like spacecraft on top of the SLS architecture.
We basically invented all of the training for the Orion spacecraft and the rockets and put it all together, and now we're in the middle of giving all of that information to the crew to prepare them for the launch.
For me, the heart of Artemis II are the individuals, the people that are on board that Orion capsule. They are going to represent us as humanity going out into space on this incredible journey. And to me, that's the real piece there, is the human element.
I'm Reed Wiseman, a NASA astronaut and commander of the Artemis II crew. I guess if I'm going to answer who I am, first and foremost, I'm a dad. I was a pilot in the Navy. I'm an astronaut. I'm a lover of nature, lover of the Earth, and in general, I just try to be nice to people.
I've known Reed a long time, and just an absolute great person. He is very strategic in his thought process. I consider him big picture.
His leadership style is really obvious. He's looking for ways to let all of his really talented, experienced crewmates own parts of the mission.
Over his career, Wiseman has spent over 165 days in space. In the office, he was the chief astronaut, which is a very tough job. More on the personal side, Reed's just a great guy.
I grew up in a small town north of Baltimore, Maryland, known as Cockeysville or Hunt Valley. The first time I remember being interested in space, I was in elementary school. I was always into cars and trains and planes, and I distinctly remember before the first space shuttle flight, I think I was 5 years old, the 747 flew over with a shuttle on the back. I distinctly remember being on a hill near a mall with my mom and dad watching that thing fly over and all. I was a tiny kid. I graduated high school pretty young, and so I was small. I tried all the standard little kid sports. I tried soccer, I tried baseball. Those just did not fit with me. While I was at school, I decided that I wanted to be a Navy pilot. I joined the Navy in college through this thing called ROTC. And then when I graduated from college, that was my road into the Navy. Once I had that test pilot school block met, I knew that I had all the pieces to be an astronaut. I applied once, I got my rejection letter. It's still hanging up at home. I looked at it last night. I thought it was hand-signed. It wasn't hand-signed. And then in 2009, I applied again for my second time and luckily snuck into an interview round, and then I knew it was all up to me, and the dream was going to be set by me right there.
So are you enjoying your training?
Oh, it's awesome so far. Absolutely fantastic. Way better than I had imagined. Getting to accomplish a dream, getting to go out and seize that, you have to sometimes look back and just congratulate yourself. Just take a minute and say, man, you did the thing.
This is a super cool shot. I always love when they show how objects float around in space. This is a super cool shot. I'm going to take a quick moment to address some of the comments in the chat. Moonmaker says, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, but it's so scary to me now. Yeah, it's incredible. I think, and you'll hear this about a couple of the other astronauts, but it's interesting how a lot of the astronauts have a military background. I think, and especially because this specific Artemis II trip is about testing all of the equipment, that Navy pilots and test pilots are an essential part of this team. And yes, 165 days in space for Reed Wiseman. That is a lot of time in space. You'll meet Christina later, who is actually a record holder for the single longest time in space on one trip. Let's keep going.
That you set out to do. What would I tell 8 or 9-year-old Reed? Hey, stay the course. You're doing great. Have some confidence, because I definitely didn't have a lot of confidence as a kid. So go out and have fun and try to do good every day.
He just seems like a nice guy. I love it.
I want to thank God for this amazing opportunity, because Artemis II is more than a mission to the moon and back. It is the next step on the journey that gets humanity to Mars.
Victor Glover, he's a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy. He has more than 2,000 hours of flight time. He has his bachelor's degree in engineering, his master's in flight test engineering. He was a United States test pilot where he flew F-18s. He came to us from Washington, D.C., where he was serving as United States Navy Legislative Fellow in the United States Senate.
My name is Victor Glover.
Those are some crazy credentials. I think to be an astronaut, not only do you have to be technically skilled, you have to be a people person. You have to be able to work with others, because out there in space, it's just you and your crew, and all you can do is look down on Earth and see all of us. But I can't imagine the isolation and the almost emotional and psychological aspect of space travel. So
I'm a NASA astronaut, naval aviator, and a former test pilot. The back of my baseball card, the most important things would be right at the top. It'd be a husband and father to 4 beautiful daughters. And then, being able to dabble in the aerospace industry, fly jets off of a carrier, and help design and to operate spacecraft. Those would be down there in the small print somewhere.
Victor, he is the philosopher, I would say. He's the one that I've had the most conversations about what makes effective training.
When I think of Victor, I think of a supercomputer. And I mean that very sincerely. He is so intelligent, and he is thinking about the mission. He's thinking about solutions. And in working with the teams, it's just fun to watch.
Victor Glover, he is my classmate. We were both chosen in 2013 to become astronauts. He is my astro brother. He is incredibly talented, and I am basically in awe of him at all times.
Victor Glover, he has become a mentor of mine. I love working with him. It is not a relationship that peaks and then drops off. This relationship is always increasing. I'm learning more about him every single day, and we're working better together every single day.
I grew up in Southern California. Being from a socio-economically disadvantaged background, not having a lot of money, it definitely created a challenge. But in all of that, my support and love from my mother and my father was always clear. That always shone through. I played outside. You know, I would come home with rocks and wood, chips, but also like bugs in my pocket. Just this idea to kind of go beyond and know what's next and see what's beyond it's just kind of always been there. Sometimes it wound up with me getting bumps and bruises, you know. I took the rain fly off my tent, tied it to my belt loops, and jumped off my grandparents' roof to see if I could make a parachute.
I think he brings up another good point. It takes not only technical background and people person, but also guts, right? The explorer mindset, willingness to try crazy things that makes you just so different and so special.
You know? As a child, seeing a shuttle launch on television, really, it captivated me. There are points through my childhood and young adulthood that feeling was always there. When I was in college, I was 20 years old, I decided I wanted to join the Navy. And when I told my dad I wanted to join the Navy, I told him I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And he said, okay, you might enjoy that. But with an engineering degree from Cal Poly and being a pilot, you might be able to go on and become an astronaut. My dad made a suggestion that changed the arc of my life. Literally changed the trajectory of my life.
When NASA announced the astronaut piloting its Artemis II mission, Victor Glover Sr. was watching.
Obviously, I had tears in my eyes. I was wiping the tears away. Deep down inside, you knew, he's going to be a part of something special.
Being able to go to space is just, I think, a sign of the willingness, the work ethic, and the adventure, and the opportunity, the timing coming together. So many people have poured into my life that, if anything...
Wait, I just saw...
Venture and the
a bunch of
opportunity,
patches.
The timing coming together. So many people have poured into my life.
Yes. I think being part of an astronaut or being in space, there's something about having patches as maybe badges of honor. I love that. Look at that. That's incredible. I love that collection.
If anything, I'm actually reflecting from so many sources. And again, I am blessed. I've been blessed.
Look at this picture. Oh, yes. You were in space camp.
I was.
Yeah. How old were you? Do you remember?
Probably middle school.
And look at you now.
She has a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from North Carolina State University, a Bachelor's in Physics, and a Master's in Electrical Engineering. She's also done some interesting expeditionary work, so please welcome Christina.
Christina Cook, one of our mission specialists, great person, just a great personality, easygoing, very detailed, and task-oriented.
She is the person that makes sure that everyone walks away from some training with the right understanding. She speaks up and asks the question, and then usually the whole room is like, yeah, I had that question too.
Christina, she brings a science mind to these activities. I'm so excited that she has the chance to go to the moon and help lead the science as a whole.
First, she's just a great person. And then second, she is really outgoing, outdoorsy human being. So she is always off doing something that I wish I was off.
That's an incredible shot. Some of the images and the shots in this docu-series is incredible. This is an incredible photograph. It's just a really well-produced docu-series, a mini docu-series because there's only 2 episodes, but the imagery is just stunning. And it says a lot about Christina as a person.
Off doing.
Her background as an explorer and someone that just, lives to explore and loves life and adventure. Space, she's a natural.
Well, I was born in Michigan, family of farmers, and I ended up growing up in North Carolina. My particular family moved there, and both places were just incredibly important in terms of forming my values and who I am. I would describe that little girl as someone that loved to be a part of everything. My dad and I were always working in the shed. We called it shed heaven. He was always teaching me how to fix things, how to make things. For me, the moments of exploration as a child were ubiquitous. I was always exploring, whether it was on the farm, going around on the trails, under the trees, climbing the trees, or in my own backyard. The idea of celestial bodies, the moon, the stars, what all that meant, seeing the Milky Way, these were things that really drew me in. I myself was inspired by the Earthrise photo taken on Apollo 8. I had it on my bedroom wall as a kid.
Okay, go back a little bit. So, a little Easter egg. This photo was the background for the last 4 flights. If you've been watching the shorts on YouTube and TikTok, I used this image as the background for the series of the Artemis II program videos.
The Earthrise photo taken on Apollo 8. I had it on my bedroom wall as a kid. And the idea that we can take a picture of all of humanity at once, that will be a big moment.
Christina Cook, your record holder. She is out, thumbs up, and a huge smile.
She returns to Earth as a record holder, the single longest stay in space by a woman.
What advice would you give to a girl my age who wanted to become an astronaut when they grow up?
You know, I did have those conversations where small kids were surprised that I was an astronaut because, quote, I wasn't a guy, I wasn't a man. And for me, that sort of set the bit that it was important to demonstrate by representation that anything is possible for anyone who has a passion and who's willing to work hard to achieve that dream. To see that tide changing and to recognize that we can affect that change by the decisions we make to go by all and for all is really inspiring for me.
A Canadian is going to the moon. That makes me smile when I say that.
I know Canadians could not be more proud. Proud to have for the first time a Canadian astronaut who will travel to deep space as part of the Artemis II mission.
This is a big
I'm
deal.
Jeremy Hansen, an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency.
Jeremy Hansen, a Canadian F-18 pilot. He hasn't had an opportunity to fly in space yet. I really look forward to him being able to see his home planet from space for the first time after his 15 years of training.
It's interesting because when
So he is an astronaut that has been training for the last 15 years but has not gone to space. 15 years. Imagine training for 15 years to go to space. Wow.
I think of Jeremy, while he's a rookie, I don't think of him as a rookie. And that says a lot about Jeremy. He's very prepared. He's a quiet, confident leader.
He is maybe the thinker or the observer of the crew, thinking about the technical aspects of whatever we're learning. So he'll have some really insightful comment or just some really great piece of humor to add at the end.
He's one of the funniest human beings that you will ever met. He is dry humor, and his timing is absolutely impeccable.
You know how many times I show up to an interview and then I watch them make the tripod taller? Just about everyone.
But the other neat thing about Jeremy that a lot of people don't get to see is he is incredibly creative.
His creativity in making this spaceship like a playground and actually knowing it for its fundamental capabilities could potentially save our lives on this mission.
I've definitely spent some time contemplating my first launch to space, and you know, the first thing that comes to mind for me is what I'm going to feel like the day before. I imagine I'm going to be very pensive the day before. I'll be leaving the planet. I'll be leaving my wife and 3 children behind on the planet. I know what's going to happen the next day is risky, but I also know from my operational experiences and flying and challenges I've faced that when the day comes and it's go time, I'll be fired up and I'll be just firing on all cylinders, riding that rocket to space. I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario, and just had a great childhood. I really credit my experiences on the farm with giving me some of the tools I needed to succeed in life. I went on to join the Royal Canadian Air Force. I had this passion for wanting to fly fighter jets, and ultimately that prepared me to join the Canadian Space Agency and take on this challenge of being an astronaut. It is kind of full circle for me flying out to the moon on this mission, because when I was a young Canadian, I did see an image in Encyclopedia A under Neil Armstrong of humans standing on the moon. I looked at that image so many times through my childhood. It was on the bookshelf at home, and I started just thinking about being a space explorer. I turned my treehouse into a spaceship. I created all these intricate dials made out of cardboard and popsicle sticks. I found some switches, circuit breakers in the barn that I mounted to have switches in my spacecraft. I had a control column I made out of wood and a hinge, and I was exploring space in my imagination. As a child growing up, I watched Marc Garneau fly in space, a first Canadian in space, and seeing that's what made me understand that it was possible for me to actually achieve that dream. You know, I'm driven by the spirit of exploration. I don't even know that I can tell you why, but there's just something about that going to a new place and pushing the limits that really captures my passion. Super proud that Canada is joining the US-led mission back to the moon, the Artemis mission. Just gratitude for what they brought to the challenge.
So these are the 4 astronauts going to the moon for Artemis 2. I know that was a little bit of a longer clip, 20 minutes, but I really wanted to share how these astronauts are people like you and me, and not only the expertise, but the courage it takes to do something like this. So I know we're reaching about an hour in, but there is one more clip that I'd like to show. I'm not sure how many minutes it is, but it's about the mission overview. Feel free to drop off if you need to go, but we'll probably be on for another 20-30 minutes.
When you think about Artemis 2, we've never had humans get on top of an SLS rocket. And when that rocket launches, 8.8 million pounds of thrust are going to defeat gravity for a 5.8 million pound vehicle. So they're going to feel vibrations and hear sounds that no humans have ever experienced.
If you want to be an astronaut, that's the thing you've been waiting for your whole life. Riding the elevator up the rocket, climbing in that capsule, very surreal. I often say that the only reason anybody actually gets on a rocket is because it'd be too embarrassing to turn around and run away from the rocket. Once the fire starts coming and the rocket starts vibrating and you lift off, it's a completely different experience.
When you put crew on a rocket, it's no longer a test flight. This one needs to perform and will perform as good or better than the first one did. No doubt about it.
Artemis 2 begins with launch from Kennedy Space Center.
Getting them through that 8.5 minutes to get them to escape Earth will be the first big milestone.
First, you'll do about 2 minutes of flight with the boosters. The boosters will separate, leaving you on just the core stage all the way through about 8 minutes into the mission. At that point, the upper stage will separate from the core stage and perform a perigee raise maneuver to keep you in a stable orbit. The crew's going to be in a high Earth orbit, checkout orbit. So this is a highly elliptical orbit that just takes them up away from the Earth and then back down close to it. From there, Orion backs away and separates from ICPS, preparing us for manual piloting by the crew of the Orion vehicle, imagining that they are approaching and docking with the upper stage of the rocket.
The crew will have their hands on flying it for the first time, and that'll allow them to see, do we have the pulse size correct? Do we need to make the pulse size smaller? Do we have enough thrust? Does it have enough control authority to give us the rates and the movement that we need to in the vehicle when we need it?
We need to really understand how Orion's going to perform in order such that we can dock it on future missions.
So a huge part of Artemis 2 is testing equipment, the equipment that are necessary for future missions. And so they're doing a test run on the equipment.
We're going to fly in formation for a good 2 hours to ensure that we can do the checkouts to really understand the way this vehicle is going to operate. As we do ascent and as we go through our ProxOps demo, it's going to be a long day for the crew, it's going to be a long day for us on the ground.
Once we convince ourselves that the systems are solid, we will engage the Orion main engine, and that will commit us to what we call translunar injection.
The translunar injection burn is the big burn that puts us on the path to the moon. For that flyby out to the moon, we're doing what we call a free return trajectory. The idea there is that without doing any more major burns, you can just coast, and the gravity of the moon will redirect Orion and bring it back to Earth safely.
Hey, Apollo 13, Houston, you have a go for...
We have done a free return only one time, and that was during Apollo 13. We have designed deliberately to do a free return on this particular mission because, again, our risk tolerance, our willingness to take risks with the vehicle with the crew on board is much, much lower for a crewed test flight.
So Artemis 1 in 2022 was unmanned, and Artemis 2 this year is manned. And so the margin of error is a lot smaller just because this is going to be a manned flight.
The next 3 days are spent in transit, and so the crew has activities to, again, continue to check out the systems on the Orion that we weren't able to get to in the first day. We need to go through checking out the radiation shelter, that all of our stowage is in the right spot. We need to check out the cabin to ensure that we can depress it to be able to dock within HLS in the future. Then we're going to fly around the moon.
They make it sound so easy, but it's incredible the amount of work the team has to put in to test and the amount of risk because everything could go wrong. And so if you've seen The Martian, and maybe we can watch that together separately at another time, it's about solving problems. Lots of problems will come that you didn't realize were problems. And to be able to fix those problems and move on to the next problem, I think that for me is the mind-blowing part.
You'll fly by the moon at about flight day 5. You'll be between 2,900 and 7,900 nautical miles from the lunar surface.
That'll be the first time we'll have 4 crew members being able to share the experience of seeing the far side of the moon together. They'll be the most separated from Earth than any 4 humans could possibly be at that point.
We're going to turn the spacecraft so that you have the best view of anybody of the moon in 50 years. We want to ensure that we're getting the videos of the moon that all of us back here on Earth want to see, and ensuring that all of our systems work on the far side of the moon as well, the way we expect. Once the crew flies past the moon, they'll begin the 3-day journey home, where they'll again begin to do some checkouts, including trying to take the cabin down to a lower pressure, which is needed for future flights. Finally, as they get closer to Earth, they're going to prepare for re-entry. We have to configure the cockpit, do our final targeting, final burns, get the crew in their suits, get them in their seats, and then they'll get into the re-entry sequence.
The back half of the crew module has the heat shield, which is covered right up until just before what we call entry interface, when you're re-entering the atmosphere, at which point the crew module separates from the service module, puts the heat shield towards the Earth, and then begins its entry.
The way Orion enters the Earth's atmosphere, it's a capsule shape, and when that capsule engages with the atmosphere, it hits at a tremendous speed. The speeds that we're enduring produce temperatures as hot as 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to the surface of the sun.
5,000 degrees close to the surface of the sun.
The way we protect and absorb that energy is we build a heat shield. That heat shield serves as a function to transfer it and absorb that energy so that, ultimately we can come down gently on our chutes.
That 19-ish minutes is the most critical of the flight. That heat shield has to work, the guidance has to put them in the right spot, and if we're anywhere as close as we were on Artemis 1, we're going to drop that capsule within a couple miles of the landing ship.
Splashdown.
We're going to land off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean, and we're going to test out in real space in real time the recovery of crew from the capsule. So all of these are new things that we haven't had to do before in a long time.
They'll be recovered by our recovery forces, and we'll see their smiling faces. That's the mission. That's Artemis 2.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the end.
It will be a 10-day journey going 500,000 miles, continuing to test out every bit of Orion, going around the far side of the moon, heading home, through the Earth's atmosphere at over 25,000 miles per hour and splashing down in the Pacific.
The crew's going to have a horizon, they have a moon, so I feel pretty good about pressing into this opportunity.
I think NASA's at its best when it has big ideas and bold exploration. That's when the finest comes out of NASA. That's when the finest comes out of America. Their story is made up of the success of this institution that makes this country so proud.
For Orion, success means first we bring the crew home. Second, we demonstrate what we know already is a robust spacecraft that's ready for these Artemis missions.
We want to continue to explore, we want to continue to learn, we want to go beyond, we want to go even further. And through the success of this particular mission of Artemis II will help spur us on for the additional exploration and discoveries that are out there for us to find.
Our destiny is always to go and see what's further and what's next.
It's our generation's opportunity to have our own literal moonshot.
When we focus on one thing and we focus on it together, we can achieve anything.
It's the lesson that we can do more together than we can as individuals.
It's a new beginning. It's a rebirth of human exploration.
The question is no longer if we're going to return to the moon or reach Mars. It's a matter of when.
It starts with one flight, one crew, Artemis II.
We all have batons, relay race batons, and they are there as a symbol of coming back from Artemis II and handing those batons to Artemis III and saying it's your turn to go. That is what we live for. We are ready.
And that's the end. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for sticking by, sticking close. I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts that you'd love to share. I've tried to find material that is interesting, but also gives a comprehensive introduction to the Artemis II program, or the Artemis program and the Artemis II journey. So if you're interested, feel free to learn more. You're all caught up now. The latest news today is that the Artemis II mission is getting delayed about 1 or 2 months while they continue to work on the SLS rocket. And they've made some changes to the Artemis program as well. Instead of landing on the moon on the Artemis III mission, we will be landing on the moon in Artemis during the Artemis IV mission in 2028, I believe. But yeah, that's the latest. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a wonderful month just for me as well, digging into the Artemis program and sharing with Moonmakers what I've learned and what exciting things are happening in that space. No pun intended. If you'd love to share your thoughts, I'm sticking by, staying close. It's been a long day. I'm staying, and I would love to chit chat if you have any thoughts. But thank you so much for joining tonight. You're so welcome, Moonwaker. It's been lovely to spend time with everybody on a live stream. I'm glad the technical issues for audio and video have worked out. And yeah, it is disappointing that it's been delayed, but once the launch happens and if the timing works, I'd love to do another watch party. So thank you for joining. I think I will drop links into this video when it uploads, so feel free to explore some more. It's very exciting. I'm personally very excited to follow and watch. And I just think it's a great endeavor. I think I hope to be alive when humans reach Mars, but to be a part of the journey of even getting there, of even going to the moon and using the moon as a bridge to Mars is exciting. Hopefully, I'll be able to do more live streams soon. Let's see if I can put on some music. Thank you for joining tonight. It was a very lovely evening. Yes, I do believe they said Houston, Texas. Oh, I'm glad you like the background. It's meant to be a very relaxing background. Maybe the view you would see outside the Starliner window if you had a seat next to the window. And yes, maybe we should consider making patches. I really liked seeing all of the different patches they had on the astronaut suits and also in the background. I'm not a big patch person, but it was just really cool to see all the different ones and the different shapes and different colors, and that was fun. Oh, cool. Are you from Houston? Maybe you can watch it. I don't know if the public is allowed to go see the launch. I'm sure it'll be on television, but it would be exciting to be able to see it in person. I'm so grateful that you joined tonight. I didn't publicize this stream that much other than announcing it on Twitter as I was preparing for the audio to not work again, but I'm grateful that it did, and thank you for showing up. Going through the chat to see if there's anything I missed. Watch parties are a little bit different than mission briefings, so I treat mission briefings like late night radio shows, interactive late night radio shows between myself and the Moonmaker, but watch parties are just much more informal and just sit and chill and watch things and chat. So if you're interested, maybe we can do more of these, maybe with the Artemis 2 launch and splashdown. Maybe we can do, I was thinking of doing a watch party for The Martian, which is one of my all-time most favorite movies. I think I've watched it 6 or 7 times now. But that would probably have to be done through Twitch. I would have to stream on Twitch due to copyright issues. Pancakey says, I haven't used TikTok in a while, so I'm glad I followed your YouTube and Twitter. Oh, thank you. Yes, so all the content between YouTube and TikTok are exactly the same. Twitter is where I make announcements for streams or news or updates. So thank you for following me on all three. I appreciate that. But for The Martian, I think we would have to stream through Twitch. Hopefully that's okay. Maybe you'll join me on Twitch too. I'll hang out on here for maybe 3 more minutes. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. I'm so glad and so grateful that you joined me tonight. It was fun. I haven't seen all of it, so it was great to watch it together with Moonwakers. Hi Nexus, thanks for joining. Good to see you, and good evening. I'm glad you were able to come. No worries if it's just the end. We did about an hour of watching clips about the Artemis 2 and the Artemis program, so if you have time, feel free to go back and watch the whole thing. But hopefully, with all of the videos, I was able to give Moonwakers a comprehensive introduction. And then, if you're curious about wanting to learn more, I'm sure you can follow all of the exciting things that's happening with the program in the news. Glad you're here. How's your night going? It's been a while since I was last on a live stream, so feels good to be back. And you can't possibly know how happy I am with the audio working out. Okay, well, if there isn't anything else, no more questions, no more comments, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. Oh. I'm glad you're able to make it even though it's been a busy day for you. Hopefully you're able to get some rest over the weekend. I'll see everybody soon. Thank you again, Moonwakers, for joining. Have a good night.